In this video, Jeff and I go through our version of the Tibetan rites. We try and do these exercises every day together, and it helps keep us balanced and connected. The first rite is the spins. Bring your arms out and spin in a clockwise direction. In this video, we're doing 10 each of these exercises, but it's reasonable to start with 3 or 5, eventually working your way up to 21 of each of the Tibetan rites. When you're done your spins, you can bring your hands together at your chest and close your eyes until you're ready to move on. In between each of the rites, we like to do a little yoga posture for 5 breaths. After the spins, we're doing a forward fold. Making sure to keep your breathing slow and steady, in and out through the nose. When you're ready, coming back up to standing. And let's come down onto our mat and get ready for the second rite. We call these the J's. You're going to take a deep breath in, tuck your chin into your chest, and lift your legs straight up towards the sky. Then drop your legs down and let your head come down to the mat. Breathe out. Inhale and lift. Exhale and lower. Once you're done your 10 J's, you can bring your head back down to the mat, and we move into a supine twist. So bring the left leg up to your chest and then across your body. You can bring your left arm out to the side, holding onto your knee with your right hand. Holding here for a few more breaths. Slow your breathing. And when you're ready, switching to the other side. The right leg comes up and across the body. When you're ready, coming back down to your mat. And we'll move on to the third Tibetan rite, which practices the spinal flexion and extension. Coming up onto your knees, you can keep your toes tucked under or the tops of your feet flat on the mat. Hands come to the small of your back, and we'll lean forward and then push the hips forward, looking up to the sky. Leaning forward, and then push the hips forward as we look up. Once we are finished this, we'll push back into child's pose, extending the arms out in front of us, legs tucked neatly underneath the body. Holding here for a few more breaths. And coming into a seated staff pose for the next Tibetan rite. We're going to plant our hands at our sides and push the hips up towards the sky. This is a tabletop posture, so we're coming up and back down. You can come to sit in between each of the movements, or you can keep your hips lifted. I like to keep my hips lifted for a little bit of extra core work. When you're finished, bringing the soles of the feet together into a seated cobbler's pose. Let the knees fall heavy out to the side and open up through the hips. When you're ready, coming into the last traditional Tibetan rite, it's a downward dog, upward dog movement. So come into a downward dog and just take a second to walk it out, pushing into one heel and then the other. Coming forward into upward facing dog and then push back into downward facing dog, moving through these motions with each breath, taking your time and going at your own pace. When you're finished, you can bring your right leg all the way up and then swing forward into a pigeon pose. Holding here for 5 breaths. When you're ready, lifting your weight, bringing the right leg back up, let's flow through a downward dog, and then we'll switch to the other side. Left leg comes all the way up, and then through into your pigeon pose. The next exercise that we add on to the end is not a traditional Tibetan rite. So come into a wide-legged stance, and we'll start our Cossack lunges. This was added on by Keith Weber and is a really good addition to these exercises. We'll drop down into one knee, lifting the opposite toes on the opposite foot, coming back and forth, doing 10 on each side. When you're finished, you can interlace your fingers behind your back and let your arms come up over the top of your head into a wide leg forward fold. Take a deep breath here. And drop your hands down towards the mat in front of you. Bringing one arm up into a twist. Holding here for 5 breaths. And switching to the other side. One more deep breath here in this twisted posture. When you're ready, bring that hand back down to the mat. And let's come down to lie on our backs. You can keep your arms down at your sides, or you can tuck them across your stomach. Take a few deep breaths here. I hope you enjoyed doing these exercises with us. This is something that we do every day, and it keeps us connected in our life, in our marriage, and in our physical fitness.